The future of Western civilization, of course, depends on the survival of the descendants, the biological descendants of the people who created that civilization. It's up to us, the people, we who have inherited that civilization, to carry it forward. That, of course, is one of the crazy suicidal myths that's prevailing today, is that somehow anyone can come to the West and become a son or daughter of Western civilization. That's absolutely impossible. I think no people not biologically born to a civilization can carry it forward in a meaningful way. So I believe your question really is a demographic rather than a cultural question. Will Western humans survive in cultures that belong to them, where they are majority and where they leave their indelible mark on their civilization? That's the question. And I really don't have an answer to that. For that to take place, today's generation of Western man must arrive at some sort of consciousness of what is at stake. Because what is at stake is the survival, not just of our group culturally, but our group biologically. The short-term solution in all of the Western countries is to stop immigration right now. That is really the biggest problem. As soon as third world people have arrived in large numbers into Western worlds, Western countries, it becomes very, very difficult to unscramble the omelet. Certainly once they become citizens, the idea of stripping people of citizenship, sending them out, that takes a kind of firmness that it's very difficult to envisage Westerners achieving. So the imperative at this point is to stop the flow as quickly as possible. And to the extent possible, certainly those who have emigrated to the West illegally, to make them return. We have every right to do this. That is the first, and I believe, absolutely essential step to be taken. And if we don't take that step within the next few decades, our future as a people with a distinct civilization, I believe, is greatly imperiled. Long term, I believe that an enlightened European people would begin to think in terms of improving itself genetically. I think that there are positive eugenic steps that could be taken. Embryo selection is one. Attempts to encourage people to behave responsibly. I think in the present day, eugenics has a terrible, terrible reputation. But I believe that if eugenics had a good reputation, if people were taught the importance of genetic heritage, the responsibilities the more capable have, and the responsibilities to reproduce in smaller numbers of the least capable. I think that if this were an important part of our education, people would voluntarily do eugenic things. I think that's not at all out of the question. If we had a national consciousness that realized that 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, what we do today will have very serious genetic consequences. If this were part of the national curriculum of a healthy-minded state, I think that people would think in terms of the long-term future, of the good of their people. I think that's not at all out of the question. It's in this condition, this current aberrant condition, in which the genetic future of our people, even to think about that, is demonized. It's under these circumstances that people do behave in an irresponsible way because they're encouraged to do so. I have great faith in the ability of people, once they have been awoken to the importance of their peoplehood and of their genetic heritage, I have great faith in their ability to do responsible things. Unfortunately, and this is what makes our struggle so difficult and so poignant, we are our own enemy. We, as a united people, should be defending our lands and our culture. And yet the people who should be our staunchest allies are so often our bitterest enemies. When an American Renaissance conference has difficulties, it's not because organized Hispanics or blacks or Asians are trying to shut us up. It's other whites, middle-class white people. For some reason, and I've thought about this for a long, long time, I've tried to reason it out and I've failed, why it is that whites seem to have some sort of need to despise themselves. They take joy in turning against themselves. And I think this is without precedent in the history of the world, that a people has somehow decided that to be replaced by aliens is virtuous, that somehow it's wrong for them to defend and protect and carry forward their own birth.